Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now on the Dignified Delinquents podcast, this dude is one of the hardest working men in the entertainment business. He's a multi-hat wearing serial entrepreneur Negro. He's an entrepreneur. That's what I'm calling him. Who was behind one of the quickest growing media brands, 85 South Media. Y'all make some noise for Chad Oubre in the building.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, boss man?
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, and listen, I know I watch you, you know, in doing research, and I know that being in front of the camera ain't necessarily your forte. You're a behind the scenes kind of guy. You like, you know, doing the work. So I appreciate you for taking the time out just to talk with us for the day, and you know, join us on the Dignified Delinquents podcast.
Hey, I'm always talk to black people.
There you go, brother. There you go. How you doing though, man? Happy New Year. We pulling into, you know, February, but you know, Happy New Year. How's 2021 treating you?
Hey, bro. It's just one day at a time, man. We trying to figure it out.
Absolutely. Now 2020 was crazy for a lot of us. I mean, shit, everybody. But y'all seemed to maneuver pretty well. Y'all were able to pivot. What was behind that? Was that something like y'all, I don't want to say prepared for, but what was that quickness or that savviness that y'all had to be able to pivot that big production that y'all do called the 85 South Show and still continue to move and work during while a lot of people were just, you know, sitting stagnant and income wasn't coming?
I wouldn't call it pivoting per se. I just think it was just another line of business that we just tapped into and invested into and just got more focused on. That's all.
Absolutely. I heard you refer to what y'all do as the Walt Disney model, where y'all create a product and create multiple streams of product off that one product. So Disney had a ride, but then merch, and then, you know, so forth. Have you always been this business savvy? Is this something that you grew up doing, or is this just something that you just a natural hustler?
I wouldn't consider myself business savvy per se. I mean,
He's savvy.
I'm doing it for you. I wouldn't consider myself business savvy per se, man. It's more just business isn't that deep, man. It just doesn't make sense or does it not make sense. And when you're in the business of you know, media and creativity, you have what's called intellectual property, and that's the that can be a television show, that could be a live show, that can be a podcast, and that podcast has you know, intangible value, and you can turn that value into product, you can turn it into services, you can turn it into 2 or 3 different things, and that's what we watch Walt Disney do. So Master P did the same thing. It's the same thing that artists do when they create an album that inspires people. That inspiration can turn into tours, it can turn into ticket sales, it can turn into merchandise, you know.
Absolutely. I guess T.I. did it with the Track Museum, so that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what that was. Exactly.
Can I ask you talked about that intellectual property. Are there any books that have kind of helped you make the moves that you've made in the business world?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's a couple books. There's a book that I recommend to anybody when you really want to think about how life works, especially if you're a minority creative or Black creative. It's called The Color of Money, and it talks about the history of us as, you know, when we came over here as enslaved people and how many times we've created for ourselves, you know, how generational wealth transfers have happened and all those sort of things. So I'm more in the history than I am in the business books, but I will say what's the book y'all told me to read about scaling?
Oh, From Good to Great.
From Good to Great. That was a really good business book. Jim Collin. I just read that book because we're in a position to scale right now. That's why I'm still at the office. But yeah, I'm not huge on business books as much as I'm more on history, because I'm a believer that history repeats itself, you know.
So you're a history buff. Would you consider yourself a history buff?
I don't remember. I think calling yourself a buff holds you to a level of responsibility that I'm not sure I'm ready to take on.
Okay, for sure.
I believe in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your strong suit when you were in school?
You know, it's funny, man. In school, I just read a lot. I was, the way I was raised was my mom was huge on, like, we ain't raising no dumb people. So I read everything from the Chronicles of Narnia to the Bible to the Quran. Ooh. I was reading Dave Ramsey books growing up. Like if it was something to read, I read it.
Whoa. I wish that was me. I'm in the senior year of college right now, getting ready to graduate. I'm at Jacksonville University right now. Would you look at that small world?
I went to JU.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for those who don't know who are watching right now and couldn't just hear chat, he graduated from Jacksonville University as well. However, with that being said, I honestly, man, could you just give me a key, bestow some wisdom upon me, since I am heading into the real world, quote unquote, and it's about to hit like a ton of bricks? Anything you could tell a 21-year-old who's aspiring to kind of be in your shoes, if you want to keep it a band?
Man, that's a very general question. So I'm not like a genius, but I'll just tell you, building brick by brick is the real thing, and you have to do the work.
For sure.
A lot of, the internet has made a way. Social media has made a way, and I don't want to sound old by any stretch. The internet is a tool. It's a tool, but I think a lot of us think that that's the finish line. I believe in, doing the work allows you to create the arsenal that you need to do what you need to do in the world. So I would just say to build, man. And I tell a lot of young people, I sound old when I say that, but I didn't really think about money when I was young. I know things that you see on television and online can lead you to believe that it's about money. But when you build for yourself, you can create all the money you want to create. But you got to have the ability to build.
Absolutely.
Say less. I appreciate that.
Now, I want to ask you, just because I wouldn't call myself a buff either, but I'm one of the guys, one of the people I like to do a lot of research just on things and stuff. And I found it interesting that in the position that you're in now, you're working around a lot of funny people, a lot of hardworking people, from, Joey in the background, and you got Kat. But even when you first got started working with Steve, you were working with, that was through Rashawn McDonald, who was also a stand-up comedian in the 90s, and Steve's business partner. And I didn't know that you and Carlos were like friends since when you were in high school. I thought that was a relationship that came through Steve and so forth. Have you always gravitated to funny people, or is it easier working with people who can make you laugh what is that?
That's a good question. That's not really something I've thought about. I mean, I just think Black people are just naturally funny.
Yeah.
We got a cousin. I mean, that goes back to being enslaved, not to be too deep. I mean, I just think that's how we're taught to deal with our traumas. We just laugh it off, or, make jokes about it, or try to be as lighthearted as possible. So Los was, somebody I've known since 18. Clayton, somebody I've known since 18. I've known Fly before the blow up. He just happened to be my partners, and we all just played our part. The way Hollywood works is, man, it's a strange thing for me, just because I guess we're considered outsiders, but the way Hollywood works is there's somebody that's a button pusher or a puppeteer with this person, with this person, and they formulate this thing, but it's not real because these people don't know each other, like real versions of each other. So, what I tell people is, like, them 2 hours you see on camera or output, like, these are guys that I've known for years. These are really my friends. We just happen to make money with each other. We happen to be in business together, so that's what makes it really easy.
That's crazy. Can I go back to, you're really big on history. I could just tell that from this interview if I hadn't done my research, but I did. And somewhere on your Twitter, you said that social justice merch is wild. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean.
And what is social justice merch?
It's like so I remember, I don't have a Facebook, or I haven't been on Facebook in years, but we have people in different departments that run digital, ads and all those sort of things. It was one random day they were showing me some ads, and this was during the Colin Kaepernick protest. And there were people that were promoting Colin Kaepernick t-shirts, and they were using his likeness and his image, with fists or knees, kneeling down, or whatever the case is. But most people are emotional thinkers. So they get emotion, they see something, they get hyped, and they click to buy, not knowing where this dollar is going to, or they don't know what they're funding, or they don't know who is a person that's created this ad. The digital world has created such a they call it fast fashion, where you can mock up a t-shirt, print up a t-shirt, put it online and sell it and make your margins. And people are making a bunch of money off of our trauma, and it's no different than, I tell people all the time, who cuts a check? And that'll tell you everything you need to know.
Absolutely.
Are there shirts that you would deem appropriate? Because I'm asking these questions because I guess I sell that social justice merch. I have a company called Statement Threads, and I do vinyl printing and customs and stuff like that. And whenever the George Floyd murder happened, a lot of people actually reached out to me and were sending me pictures of their posters and things like that at protests and asking me if, hey, can you make a shirt like this for me? So is there anything that is, acceptable under that umbrella, or are you just like...
Yeah, I mean, everything is, piece by piece or situation for situation. But, it's not hard to tell who are people that are responding to where, they believe the capitalistic opportunity is going, and there's people that are really standing for something. It means something. Some people look at fashion as statement pieces. So I'm not mad at anybody that does it. It's just, it's created this ecosystem of people fully taking advantage of people that are being murdered injustice.
That's true.
Yeah.
I thought about making some Trump shirts.
You thought
Honestly,
Chill.
I look at it like
I
this.
know they'll buy them.
I don't want you to feel any way in your conviction. It's that
Not at all.
it's what you stand for. Whatever inside of you is going to eventually come out of you. So if you
Facts.
stand, and there's nothing to worry about.
I was talking to I'm going to say these names, and people listening won't know who they are, but you will know. I was talking to Jarvis. I was talking to my brother Al, and I asked him. I said,
I love them boys. Al, the only reason I'm doing this.
Hey, I believe it, and he told me that too. He was like, "Hey, nigga, don't you fuck it up." But I asked him. I said, "Give me a word that describes Chad," and they was like integrity. They said integrity. They said, he stands on that, and he believes that. And one of the things that you got to quote, you're quotable now. I know that you don't like the social, you don't like to be in the front, but nigga, you quotable now.
That's what it definitely is.
You are quotable.
I tell people, bro, and I'm not joking when I say this, right? Like my fiance just bought me another notebook. I've been writing stuff since 2015. I'm trying to find all my old notebooks because you'll see like everything that we're doing. I've been writing it down and sketching it out. It got to a point where I just kept, I lose everything but my wallet. My girl will tell you that. Anybody I've dated prior to, anybody that's close to me will tell you that. And it's not that I'm like not a responsible person, dog. I'm just, my brain's on a million different things.
Yeah.
There was a year where I couldn't find any of my notebooks. And, my girl had moved in, some stuff had got, I'm sure she moved them around, whatever. So Twitter became my notebook, So it's like a checkbook. It's like a checkpoint. It's still weird that people follow me. It's still weird that people retweet me. And I don't think that anything that I'm saying is like super valuable because it means something to me. It doesn't mean it means something to you.
For sure.
I don't want to give myself that much credit because I think that's not real. But, when you're saying that's quotable, like I appreciate that, but Twitter's just a checkpoint for me, dog. Like sometimes I'll go back and be like, oh man, what was I thinking in 2014? Like it's a timeline for me. Like it's really for me. It's selfish. Twitter is selfishly for me.
I feel that.
Yeah.
One of the things you said though that I'm gonna quote you on, and I'm gonna pivot to this. You said that independence forces people to do good business by you.
Yeah, 100%.
And y'all are on the entire independent route. And the reason why that's important to me is because I just signed with an agency and a manager, and I done hit points where like early on where I'm like, okay, I got to pull these motherfuckers to the side and have a conversation. Like, hey, listen, don't fuck up relationships over trying to get a quick dollar.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy how everything worked. I saw you say that, and then a business deal went a little left. I had to get it back on the road. But why is independence important? And why are y'all so steadfast and so determined and so hard on staying on that route?
Well, independence is like a new sexy word. Just like culture was a sexy word at one time, and disruption was a sexy word.
King and queen.
Huh?
Like king and queen was, that's what they say now.
Right. So when I think people think of independence, I believe that most people are linear thinking people. So it's a very A to B flatline thing. But I think that the smartest people in the world, people that I've learned, grown to respect, understand, um, context and history and background that can help you kind of really shape and form some ideas. So when I'm saying independence, if you look at like America is the very foundation of America is capitalism. So the language that America speaks is capitalism. And then you learn, the different rules and the regulations and, good practices or business practice, whatever the case is. But a lot of the people, at least in the path that we're taking, when you watch people that came before you, you don't watch people make mistakes for you to make the same mistake. And it doesn't make sense to me. But, a lot of people in entertainment are taught that you need these things. You need a lawyer, you need accountant, you need manager, you need PR, you need whatever. My thought process is, if I'm educated in that space, why do I need it? And it's not to say that you're wrong or you're right for telling me I need it, but tell me why I need it. What independence allows you to do is, if your business, most people get into business, if we're talking about the record label, if we're talking about people looking for investors, when you get into a partnership with somebody, in a perfect world, it's an even give and take. But in the world that we live in, we're taught that the person that's investing into you also is allowed to own you and is also allowed to manipulate you and is also allowed to skim off the top. That's not good business, but we've been taught that that's good business, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Good shit.
So my thought process is independence is just protection. If I'm not in business with you, I don't have to worry about if you're doing funny by me. So how do I protect myself from being in business with you? We're going to hire an accountant internally. We're going to hire a lawyer internally, and I'm going to be educated, or somebody on the team is going to be educated in these spaces and places. If I need to hire a director, I've directed before. I've edited before.
Right.
I've done social media before. I've done digital before. I've done merchandise. I've done all these things. I've produced live shows. So at the very least, you may be better at the job, but you can't finesse me on the job.
For sure.
Get right.
For sure. Yeah. Because we had someone on the show and she's a great businesswoman. And one of the things that she talked about was outsourcing. We talking about Jade. She's like, if you're not good at something, don't waste your time, money, your efforts trying to do it. Outsource it. And what you're saying is, flip that on its head. Learn how to do it yourself. Learn.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think those are bad business practices. I think that there's no right or wrong to business. There's just good practices. So if that's somebody's business model, I respect that business model. I'm not mad at it. If you're black, I support you. It's not that deep to me. However you do it. What I'm saying is the business that I'm trying to create is not something I'm trying to sell. Not a get rich quick scheme for me. My last name means the world to me. So do my business partners. I'm building something that is, I look at business like real estate. And real estate allows you to build community, and community allows you to have protection. Community allows you to have ecosystem. If I'm farming out community, I'm gentrifying my community. So let me find something internally that can replace what you say that I need. Because people aren't wrong by saying you need these things. I can do it internally though. And I'm in education. People can take a lot of things from you. They can't take education. They got to kill you.
Yeah.
So if I'm educated, at least if I'm hiring you, I can keep my eyes on you. I can have some checkpoints.
That's a spade. That's a whole spade.
My man dropping straight keys.
Now before we let you go, Chad, I got a couple more questions for you.
I got time. I didn't know I was late. I thought it started at 9, so I'm gonna give you all the time y'all need. I don't take being late for people properly. I got my dates, my time and my dates.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all.
Got about 20 more minutes, so we good.
Well, since you're staying, I see and hear you talk a lot about gatekeeping the Black community and stuff and giving back. How does the 85 South show in Chad Oubre, how do you guys give back and reach back to the Black community?
We don't talk about this a lot because I'm not, there's a balance on like, look at what we did versus just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I haven't found that balance yet. But just this winter, this Christmas, we partnered with 2 Chainz and his foundation and the what's the G League team for the Hawks? The Skyhawks in College Park. And we gave away $30,000. This was our money. We didn't ask for anybody for it. We had $100 gift cards for as many people as we could afford. We gave away merchandise. We partnered with God is Dope. We partnered with Baron Davis's.
That's amazing.
Black Santa Claus initiative. We partnered with Support Black Colleges. We made sure we intentionally got with a lot of Black businesses that had merchandise and anybody that wanted to donate, not just Black businesses. My man out here, Andrew Kleinstein, he's got a company called Holy Ghost Apparel. And so we gave away $100 gift cards up to $30,000. We gave away clothing for every single person that came there. And then I partnered with my man, Markel Amos and his wife at Cafe Bourbon Street. A smoothie truck, I can't remember my man's name, forgive me for that. And there was another, that came out there. My man, I forgot the haircut spot, the layer, Musa layer. Marcus came out there. We had free haircuts and we had free COVID testing. That community.
Wow, that's dope.
Testing.
Wow,
that's dope. Can we give him a bomb?
I was just gonna say, man.
Yeah.
I know he don't like the credit, but we gotta give him up.
We don't
for
really
that.
like to talk about it, but since you fucking asked.
Chad, we got special effects in here and shit. We got a whole soundboard, so we gotta use it.
That's what's up.
So
no, man, giving back is, that's, if you're not here to give, like, what are you here for?
Absolutely.
The power is not in taking, the power is in giving. The boss is the person that gives. It's the person that feeds.
Right.
The person that can bleed the longest. That's the big dog. But a lot of us are conditioned to take, and we're conditioned to take care of us first. But when you isolate yourself, there's no protection in isolation. All the protection is in community.
There's
so we
no
have to
protection in isolation. Damn.
You gotta think about, like, if you and your girl are arguing, the more days y'all go without talking, the worse it becomes, because mentally you're allowed to mess with your own head. Now you on Instagram trying to figure out who they're talking to, and now you texting their friends trying to figure out where they at. Isolation isn't good for anybody.
Yeah.
There's no community in isolation.
That's dope.
This man is so smart.
It's a whole spade. Now I want to get to the comedy, get to the 85 South show. I'm a stand up. I'm an entertainer. I love, just the whole realm of entertainment. One of the things that I find intriguing is that y'all super serve y'all niche. Like y'all found out who y'all niche is, and y'all super serve that niche. And how did that come about? Because I remember watching the show just when you and Carlos will, go to LA and be at the J Spot and just filming that, and then, Clayton English and Carlos and I watched y'all coming from, on stages at, the Comedy Club of Jacksonville to coming back to doing, the back room in the Times Union to doing the Times Union to doing the Veterans Arena. So it takes time. I think people think that, it happens overnight. How long did it take y'all to get to where y'all are? And this ain't even where y'all trying to be. Y'all are trying to go from here.
I'd say me and Los try to start, and not just me and Los, Joe, Cat, all of us. I'd say we try to start figuring. I was still working for Steve, so I'd say 6-7 years, but you gotta, I don't know if I believe in luck. I believe in luck more than I don't, because nobody can control when they're born or who their parents are, the system or the city they were born into. But, prior to us meeting Los, prior to us coming together with Los for the business, I was honing my own skills. I don't brag about a lot of stuff because I'm not really comfortable in it, but I've worked at multi-million-dollar marketing agencies before. And I went from, the store runner and the coffee boy and the trash man to managing $1 million budgets. I'm 25 years old doing these things, 24 years old doing these things. I've ran accounts. I've ran conference calls. I've done the corporate version of that. And then working for Steve, who's a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur and comedian and producer, again, you start off at the bottom and you work your way to a position where you have some ownership of your position and your role and your responsibility. So I was honing my skill set, just like Joe was honing his skill set as a director. Joe was winning he was doing award-winning documentaries at JU when we were together.
Yeah.
This is nothing new for us. That's why it's not like people think like I have this like kind of offsetting personality, but I'm like, what y'all don't know is in my head, I know where I want to be. So this isn't really exciting. This is just going through the process of where I know I'm supposed to be, where we're supposed to be, not just me selfishly. So, even with Los, man, like I worked with this dude in the middle of the mall. I don't even know if they sell cell phones in the middle of the mall anymore. I haven't been to
No, man.
Maybe cases.
They still sell the fake chains. That's about it.
Yeah. So me and Los at the time, I'm sure they still got kiosks. So me and Los were in the kiosk, and Clayton as well. And he's honing his skill set. So when it's time to turn the lights on, and this is me at 18, so Los is probably 22, 23, and he's honing his skill set. This is not, all the guys that I'm connected to have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
People are now, aware of it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Y'all boys been
so
great.
that goes back to, it goes back to what I'm saying, put in the work. And your brother will tell you, ask out, man, like I decided one day I wanted to throw parties. That was from we did house parties for free. Everybody would show up to our house parties. It was always a good time. I was respectful to everybody. Black, white, green, male, female. Come on through. Have some fun.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Chad. I just got excited when you start talking about this because this is kind of down the path that I wanted to go down, but I wasn't too sure about it. So can you tell me just some of the experiences that you had to deal with, or anything you can think of about what was your the company back in college, 5-star entertainment. How was it building that and then transferring from 5-star entertainment into, the journey into continuing to be in Chad Oubre and then 85 South Shore?
Well, 5-star, I started 5-star entertainment simply it was two things. We had thrown house parties, and I was thinking, well, man, I wasn't as good as your brother was in college ball. I wasn't good as Jarvis, and I was hurt all the time. Like they'll tell you, like I was, like my first 2 years were decent years. Like I was a decent ball player,
right?
But I couldn't stay. I was injured every 2 weeks, and I'm telling you, like ankles, wrists, hamstrings.
They said you were a hell of a slot receiver until you pulled your hammy.
Dude, they'll tell you, I'm not making this up. Like I have no desire to make it sound like I was a better ball player than I was. Like I was cool. I was good enough. Like I would have been a decent ball player. But it doesn't matter if you can't stay on the field. I was always in the training room. So you get to a point, like I'm 5'8". I'm 5'8", 160 pounds. I might run a 4.5 on my best day.
Right.
Like, bro, I'm not going nowhere. And that's cool. Like, there's a lot of life to live.
Exactly.
My thought process was always, any job I've ever had, it was never about a check. It was like, how can I connect some dots?
Okay.
So I was like, man, I throw parties. People love the parties. Let me figure out, because I'm sick of paying to get in the club. Let me figure out if I can get in the club. But on the meantime, while I build this up, I'm going to work at Hat Shack so that I can make sure I can look out for the DJs, look out for the girls I want to get in for free. I can pass out some flyers. That was my thought process. And the third thought process was, and I'll tell you this, is my homegirl. Her name is Amanda Spann. She's the reason I am who I am. She had an internship with Atlantic Records.
Right.
And I wanted to offer her to come to the club for free. So I started to figure out how to do club parties. I didn't care about making no money. I was like, yo, I need this internship. So finally she shows up to the club because she went to Florida State. And I'm like, I'm not in the front. I'm not counting the money. I'm all the way in the back. And I'm like, yo, this is actually my party. How do I get an internship? You can come to as many free parties as you want. And it got me a lunch to go get an internship. I was trying to work for the radio station.
Building relationships.
It was it. It never had anything to do with money.
I just learned
connecting the dots.
Yeah,
is like making me think about my next move.
Bro. So look at this. Like I'm assuming y'all are 22, 23, 24.
I'm 27.
Shit.
21.
Oh, that's fine. But I'm telling you, bro, I'm 34. I just turned 34. Y'all are young.
Yeah.
And you can't expedite your life. Your life path, what God has for you is for you.
Absolutely.
Facts.
I tell people to fall in your purpose, but in the meantime, do the work. So when that purpose falls in front of you, you out of here.
Absolutely.
You know? So for me, it was like, man, how many dots can I connect? Because people don't even understand when you're working at a job, that's not your purpose. I don't have a people could work 9 to 5s, people can be hedge fund managers, people can start real estate companies. None of that stuff matters. What matters the most is doing the work that can get you in your purpose. Because it's hard for people to hear me sometimes. Money is the easiest thing in the world. And I'm saying that not because I'm in a better position than I was 10 years ago. I'm telling you because 400 years ago, there was no such thing as a dollar. Mm. Money was created by a man, but God gives you your purpose.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Walk in that purpose and do the work. Like work has always been required from us forever. So do the work, find your purpose, and nobody can stop you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, that's dope, man.
I'm speechless right now.
Because I'm thinking. So he's saying that he didn't go into any of these situations with the idea of making money. His whole intent was to connect dots, build relationships with people, start from the ground up, putting in all this work. That's the thing I need.
Think about it like this. I tell people, like, I've spoken to a couple kids at different colleges. That's part of when we go to black schools, part of the process is they ask us to speak to the media kids, which I volunteer that any day, no problem. Most of these kids are like, yo, I want to work with you. Yada, yada. Bro, I'm 34 years old. You 21. Where you want to be is not, you're not there yet. And that's not disrespectful. I'm telling you, the person that's adjacent to you, if you're a photographer, that model, y'all can build together within y'all's community.
Yeah.
And meet me where you need to meet me at. But if I hire you right now, you don't even know how to do email exchange because you've never been in that environment. You don't even know how to do running shows. You don't even know how to do treatments.
Yeah.
You know, do the work. So what I'm telling people is, even at a young age, bro, me at 34, I can't be broke. I got a fiance. I got people to feed. At 21, it don't matter how much money you got, dog. Nobody cares, because if somebody's rich at 21, you're not the norm. You're the anomaly.
Yeah.
So money's going to matter when you're 30 plus, when you're 40 plus. Money does not matter right now. Go work, do the work. It doesn't. I had no pride in being a person that carried coffee because I knew who I was. I'm investing in a candle company right now. I was on a call with the young man. He's a genius. And I'm like, bro, this company moves and lives and dies by you. You're a millionaire already. The money just ain't hit your bank account yet. But I can't make you move faster than you move. When you're ready to be the leader you're supposed to be, I'm right here for you.
Absolutely.
Do the work.
Absolutely. Now, I got two questions for you. Then I'm gonna let you go. My first question is, I just want to talk about this.
Girl, I'm gonna be late, bro. I'm 15 minutes late to y'all, so y'all good. I'll give y'all another 15, bro. We straight.
So how was 85 South media brand expanding? Because it's beyond. And one of the things I just want to say, I came in here today after doing some research, and we ain't a podcast no more. We a show. Don't you dare don't you dare call us a podcast no more.
We put in the work.
Before you finish what you about to say, I'm gonna tell you how Hollywood works, right? Hollywood is this gatekeeping industry. And prior to the internet being what it is now, because I'm old enough to remember when internet wasn't a thing. I'm 34. So I was the kid that still played outside with no cell phones, but I've also watched the evolution of technology.
You was there with Ask Jeeves, yeah.
Right. Ask Jeeves was a thing. AOL dial-up was a thing. What I'm telling you guys is that I'm like the last of the people that still have to play in Hollywood, if that makes sense, right? These are the things that Dame Dash was saying for years. These are the things that Master P was saying for years, and Jay Prince for saying for years. They want you to feel like you're just a talent. If you're just a talent, they need to put people around the talent to help the talent grow and be who he's supposed to be. But if you have IP, if you have creative, if you have talent, that is your fund. That's your investment fund for your business. So your business can protect the IP and the talent. The business that 85 South Media does, the IP that 85 South Media does is a podcast. If all else goes to hell, we can podcast. And COVID has proven it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if we save a little bit of money, if we tuck a little bit of money away, we don't take everything that's on the table, we can now get a tour off the ground. We can now get merchandise off the ground. We can now hire more production to go get more ad revenue. We can launch 85. Most people don't have runway. This is the business now. This is the X and O's of business. Runway, when I'm saying runway, what I'm saying is capital, cash, to get these things off the ground. Because when your development is out the window because of Soulja Boy. There used to be a time where people would develop talent. They would teach you PR. They would teach you how to walk the runway. They would teach you how to be on set. They would teach you your business and your finance. So your finalized product is a polished product. Soulja Boy broke the internet. He made this one song. It went through the roof, and they realized they could make no money, but they didn't know how to. They didn't develop the kid,
Right?
The individual talent, and now that's the wave. But what I'm telling you is, if you take a little bit of time and you look at your talent or your IP or your creativity as a business and build around it to protect it, you won't need these outside infrastructures. Now you can do business with these outside infrastructures.
Damn it, man.
You're the best businessman you can ever be when you don't need anybody, because you can make solid decisions.
Yeah.
Needing somebody will never put you in a good position to make a good decision. Needing anything, you'll never make a good decision when you need something.
Yeah, that's.
I should say need. I should say desperate.
And if y'all can't podcast, you can motivational speak, because goddamn.
Oh, dang.
And then one thing I wanted to ask you, Chad, before I let you go, what because you're business for you, like you're business minded, and people see you in a lot of these different interviews, and even when we were preparing, there's like, damn, does he laugh? Does he smile? Like is he gonna laugh with us? Is he gonna smile with us? I was like, he's a funny guy. I've been at a wedding and saw him come in as a groomsman, and this nigga came turning it up.
That's what my family, bro. Like, yeah, no, I mean, I laugh all the time, man. I'm silly. My fiance's silly. My partners is silly.
So what do you do for leisure? But when you turn it off, because I'm pretty sure your fiance, because my wife made me do it. She like, hey, turn work off, come home, turn it off. What do you do when you have to turn it off?
I'm gonna keep it all the way real with you. Like, I just got decent at that.
Yeah,
like, it's 9 o'clock on Friday night. I'm still at the office.
Yeah.
So like, this isn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't turn off, because this is what I know that I was put here to do. I know I know who my father was. I know who my grandfather was. And they walked in purpose. So I'm walking in purpose. So to like get my mind off of things, if that makes sense. Before COVID, I was boxing a lot. I was sparring a lot, That's peace of mind for me, but that's really just to, get out aggression and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Man, I get on my girl's nerves, bro. I come home and I watch a bunch of interviews, man. I watch Dame Dash, and my new thing is watching, I forgot, it's called Recon something, but it's like these guys that go off in the woods with Jeep Wranglers. That's my new thing. And they cook in the outdoors.
Oh, they just be chilling outside?
Off-grid living type shit.
Off-grid living.
Yeah.
These Jeep Wranglers, they lift them up, they go outdoors, and they survive for like 3-4 days. That's what I want to be able to do.
Absolutely. Now, I gotta say this: if you haven't learned anything from listening to this podcast, you haven't listened to this episode
at all.
And I will say this, and I hope that Chad's okay with me saying this. A little less than a year ago, my brother Al put me in contact with Chad. He's like, "Call Chad. You doing some stuff? That's why he called Chad." And what Chad said
a year ago.
That it was a little less than a year ago. It's about like March. It was about like March 2020. And I came in my office in here, and I was talking to him on the phone, and what he said, he was like, bro, do the work. Like, dude, like, yeah, he's like, you ain't got to tell me that you can write. You ain't got to tell me that you can XYZ. You ain't got to tell me all this. Like, fucking just do it.
Do it.
He's like, just do it.
People will see.
And that was in March. And I talked on this podcast before about like everything that happened since I did the work. So I just want to say I appreciate you for that. We are excited, man. We are fans of everything that y'all are doing and everything that y'all are going to do. Please give our love and our support to everybody there. Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Oubre.
Yes, sir.
Man, and I'm gonna tell y'all, man, keep doing what y'all are doing, because I'll tell anybody, I'm not a big fan of doing these podcasts because it makes me uncomfortable, but media is important, man, and controlling messaging is important. So y'all keep doing the work y'all are doing, bro.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, bro.
Absolutely.